Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I'm still getting a couple things sorted out on my side over here, but wanted to go ahead and fire up the stream so we're on time. Get the chit-chat rolling and see how everybody's doing. Taylor, good to see you. Robin, good morning. Good afternoon for you, Taylor. I know it's afternoon time. We're going to have a good stream today. Oh, sorry, Danielle. I apologize. I wanted to change it up a little bit, do something different in this little warm-up phase of the stream. So I'll fade that out here in just a little bit. Hopefully it's nice and chill for you. Nothing too crazy. So you probably can't tell right now because there's this little bit of music going, but I have my fan on overhead, hoping that my camera doesn't shut off again, say too hot. I was trying to find a small fan to put behind it, but I wasn't able to find that, unfortunately. So we'll get started in just a minute here. Just a couple minutes usually for the YouTube notifications to kind of go out, and then we'll kick this thing off. Got a couple things I want to share with you guys that I'm excited about. Then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes later on. So should be good. A month, 4 consecutive streams so far. I'm stoked. This is going great. Thank you to everybody here early. All right, let's go ahead and get this show on the road here. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch this stuff over, turn this on. Uh-oh, Pro Streamer, here we go. There it is. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Drop it in the chat. Let me know who's here watching. I know we got some other competing streams going on this morning, so our live viewership, I want to see who's here. So today, what we're going to be doing is the topic I wanted to cover is essentially just some plugins and some kind of third-party services that I wanted to talk about, and just some things that I have wanted to cover for a while, but for whatever reason haven't exactly covered them. Sometimes they either don't make a great video, or just there's too much to cover, too little to cover, something like that. So there's a couple of things I want to do. A couple of things that I haven't had a chance to play around with, and actually I'm just now realizing that there's one thing in particular that I wanted to do that I'm going to need a very specific type of file for. So while we're kind of chit-chatting here and getting warmed up, let me see if I can find this, because it's going to need to be a lot smaller file than what I think I might have. Well, actually, you know what? I can use, I think there's a Pexels video feature, isn't there? Free videos, yeah, okay. Pexels video, and then we'll just find something nice, like some beach or some stars. So if you're not familiar with what I'm thinking, I wanted to take a look. One thing we're going to do is I wanted to take a look at the Motion Page like video transcription feature, because you can kind of do some cool effects with that, but I need to kind of find the right video. I completely forgot about that. I meant to do that last night and I forgot. Ooh, I think I found it. Okay, let's do this. Full HD, 1920 by 1080, download selected. So that might be a little bit tough for us, but let's see if this is going to work. All right, we'll go back here. Yeah, so good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Let's go ahead and switch over to got a couple of scenes here. I probably need to clean up my OBS a bit. Close this out. So the first thing that I want to share is, oh, didn't change anything here. Here we go. There it is. Woohoo! Pro streamer. So the first thing that I wanted to share is that we have the free version of PyCalendar on the WordPress plugin repository, which I'm super, super stoked about. So we covered this in one of the first streams, and I am just so thrilled with this. We still have a long way to go. Our pro version is not out yet, but if you're interested, you can go to pycalendar.com and you can sign up for when we release it. The pro version is going to have a bunch of cool features like WooCommerce support and a couple of other things. Hey, good morning, Hutch. It's raining in Oregon today. Dang. It is awful and gloomy outside here in Florida today, too. It's been like that for a couple of times. Daniel, welcome. Live. Popping in. It snowed in London, Taylor. Oh my gosh. I'm hoping it doesn't snow when I'm there in April. Well, actually, maybe that'd be kind of cool. It'd be maybe snow on my birthday. We'll see. Yeah, so Taylor's sweet emojis there. He is a member of the channel. The membership is $5 a month, and it just kind of supports me and the channel. I'm wanting to do some other things. I have a couple of things in the works in terms of some changes here that I want to make, both to kind of the names and just this community in general. So there's going to be some stuff changing. One of those things is that I'm going to make the YouTube membership more worthwhile. And then the other thing is that I want to change. There's a lot of things. I'm not ready to disclose those yet. But of course, if you drop a membership here on the channel or a super chat, that is incredibly appreciated. And let's see, how many members do we have right now? Looks like just Taylor in the chat. Photos of the snow on Discord. Let's see. Oh, wow. That's awesome, Taylor. Crazy. I mean, it was pretty cold when I was there last June, so I'm not surprised, to be honest. Also, like I mentioned earlier, if you hear like a weird grinding noise, it's because of my fan. I turned on my fan hoping my camera won't shut off this time, but we'll see. Also raining in San Diego. I don't know, is that out of the ordinary, Daniel? Seems a little bit so. That was warm for us in June. That's funny. I remember thinking, I told you this, but I remember thinking, do I even need to bring a jacket? Speaking of which, I'm going to be doing some traveling in Europe in late April and early May. So there's probably going to be a couple Inside Link episodes that come from mainland Europe, which will be pretty cool. I'm going to do one, I think, in London. And then the other ones are going to end up, I think one Friday I'm going to end up in Switzerland, and then the other one I'm not sure exactly where we're going to be, but I'm pretty stoked about that. So going to try to keep the streams rolling. Hopefully I have good enough internet to stream those, so we'll see about that. But yeah, so this thing I wanted to mention, PyCalendar is up on the plugin repo, so please go check it out. I would really appreciate you just downloading the free version on your site, playing with it a little bit, and if you feel compelled to leave us a review, or if you have feature requests or whatever, you can drop those here in the repo. So I really appreciate that. The other thing I wanted to mention that I've had a great response for is the upcoming course that I'm going to be working on. It's called CSS Made Easy, and so this one is going to be kind of like a beginner's focused course to get you up to speed on CSS for WordPress users. So I know probably a lot of you watching have already signed up for this for the pre-sale notifications, but I wanted to point that out. That's going to be coming in the relatively near future. I'm not sure exactly when the pre-sale will go live. Those of you that have purchased Generate Made Easy are going to get an exclusive price, exclusive discount. So that is going to be something coming in the near future. So I'm excited about that. The CSS course is something that I would have taken, but with the kind of, building blocks and oxygen and the way that I learned it, just kind of, I don't know what you would call it, on-the-job training kind of, something like that. But I'm trying to shortcut that for other people. And I actually really like CSS. I think it's great. It's a lot of fun to write, and I just think it's really cool. I'm getting a notice about, let's see here. YouTube stats are telling me that it's not loading, so everything's good. Can you drop in chat if everything looks and sounds good? Hopefully so. I think we are good, but I just wanted to double check and make sure. I'm going to go ahead and keep moving here. So, looks good. Okay, cool. All right. So, what I wanted to do was just cover a few of these plugins and some third-party services and stuff that, like I said, haven't made a full video yet. Also, Taylor, you're right. I forgot the Starbucks. Oh, Taylor, re-up that membership. 18 months, dude. I think you and Kyle are number 1 and number 2 longest memberships on the channel, so I appreciate that. You get some special emojis and stuff, and like I said, it just helps support. So thank you very much, dude. You are right, though, Taylor. There was no Starbucks flash this morning, so here we are. Got the big one today. Okay. Oh, no, I just spilled it on myself, and I don't have a napkin. Uh-oh. Okay. This thing is kind of cold, actually. Let me click this down a notch. There we go. Cool. What kind did you get, Taylor? With that, we're going to jump over here. So the first thing that I wanted to take a look at, and let me pull up my notes here because I had just a little bit. I often get myself off topic and I need some notes off to the side to pull myself back together. So the first thing that I wanted to cover is the new, I think it's 2.7 version of Gravity Forms that has a built-in field styler. So there's also this like kind of onboarding system, and there's some like pre-built field templates, or form templates, I should say. So I think this is probably trying to add some additional features for Gravity Forms to kind of keep their lead in the market. I actually would be curious. I think the last time Kyle did a survey in the admin bar, it was like 50% Gravity Forms, and then there was quite a few people, a large percentage, 30-something, 35% that use Fluent Forms. I've been a long time Gravity Forms user. It just has always worked for me, and I know that there are opinions out there of people that don't like it, but I just wanted to take a look at this because I briefly noticed the other day. I was like, oh, cool. And especially in TranslatePress, the forms look half decent out of the box. Like, in Oxygen, they look absolutely terrible because there was no style sheet out of the box in Oxygen. But with this, the forms now have a built-in styling function. I don't think it's that, what's the word? I don't think it's that comprehensive, but you used to be able to skip through the activate license here. So I guess I'm going to have to pull this into another window real quick and drop my drop my license key in there. So give me 1 second here. Plugins. Where is it? There we are. Pop that in there. Okay. Hopefully I don't expose my license on stream from here on out. But this onboarding form is basically just a fancier looking version of the old one from what I can tell so far. Update, automatic updates, US dollar, hide license information. Let's turn that on. What would you best describe your website? Small, medium business. That's probably going to be the most common ones for most of us. Sharing is caring, yeah. Contact form and conversational form is pretty cool. Let's just go ahead and let's just do 2 of these. Let's see. Subscription, custom form, maybe donation. And then what do you want to integrate with? Email marketing. Interesting. Okay. Help make Gravity Forms better. No, thank you. Not interested in sharing my data. Create your first form. What was the point of asking me what type of form I'm going to create if it doesn't actually do anything? I thought it was going to automatically add some forms that kind of matched my responses there, but apparently not. So there is a lot. Well, I guess not that many. What is that? 4, 8, 12, 15. So, I mean, I guess 15 is better than 0, which is what they had, and I'm sure they'll probably add to this in the future. So let's take a look at the simple contact form. Contact us. Use template. Cool. Well, that's nice. I mean, this is essentially just the basic kind of form that I would use on most small business sites. So it to just be popped up right there for me automatically is pretty handy. I don't typically do the email confirmation. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I think for the most part on small business sites, the email confirmation seems a little bit silly. And then why is it only 1/3? Field size is large. I wonder if that's just a little CSS bug. But let's go ahead and save this form, and then let's put it on a page real quick and take a look at what it looks like just out of the box with the default gravity form styles and see. So insert before, we're going to go /gravity. Haroon, can you compare WP forms and gravity forms? Which one would you prefer? Well, the thing is, I was kind of alluding to this earlier that I've used gravity forms for a very long time and have always been really happy with it. There's not been a compelling enough reason for me to switch. And it's also like it's on so many of my sites that to switch it, if I made a change where I drop my gravity forms license and switch to Fluent Forms or something, it would be a hassle. But the other thing is like, the Gravity Forms interface, I'm just so familiar with. I know the insides and outs of it. Anything that you want to do with Gravity Forms can pretty much be done. And I think that's true of Fluent Forms. But for me, it's just, it doesn't make sense for me to spend the time to switch when I know basically everything about Gravity Forms. So we'll update this. Take a look on the front end here. So obviously this is very basic, but this is just the standard default TranslatePress styling. So that's why this search form and this gravity form looks relatively similar out of the box. I mean, it's functional. If you're going to leave it, default TranslatePress styles, it really doesn't look that bad. What I wanted to do was quickly take a look at the customize panel, and let's see, TranslatePress doesn't have that many form field options built in. If we go to colors and forms, then the background of the form set to a variable that we don't have. So if we were to go with white, we can set the field backgrounds and then also the focus color, I believe is what this is, right? Yeah. So then you could just make it like a slightly off white. So this is really handy because styling gravity forms in the past was quite difficult. You had to do it with just CSS or rely entirely on your theme settings. But that's why I wanted to take a look at this today, was just to see a little bit more one step at a time. I don't know. Like I said, there's not been a compelling enough reason. We're going to talk about that as well later on with another service provider. The idea of like being so invested in one that it makes it difficult to switch. Like we all want a product like that, something so sticky that people can't or won't cancel. But at the same time, there comes a point where you really need to make that switch. And that's what I wanted to bring up, was just like, what is that point? But that's for a later topic. So not in the context of gravity forms. So obviously we can do basic field styling here with our text. It's going to change the field labels, I believe. Oh, that's interesting. It changed the border color. And then the focus border. Okay. And then why would the text change the border? That must be some weird gravity forms quirk. Interesting. I'm going to leave that alone because obviously it's messing with the PyCalendar stuff down there. A client works with Ninja Forms, which hasn't been terrible to work with. Yeah, I mean, Ninja Forms has been, I had a friend who used that for a really long time because the free version was super capable. And then, what was the other one that I just used? There's so many form plugins and they all have such similar names. Trying to remember, what was the one that I used and the interface was so difficult. 1 second, I'm gonna look it up because I wanna know. Let's see, it was Formidable. Formidable Forms, I had a hell of a time wrapping my head around because it took over the whole screen. There was like a top bar and a sidebar. And then like when I went to go switch the email notifications, it just was super clunky and really tough to understand like what I was doing. I did not like Formidable. That was definitely not my cup of tea. So my point here in this TranslatePress customizer was just to show you the form styling is very basic in TranslatePress. So of course, if you're not down with just the basic styling here, you are going to need CSS until this new version of Gravity Form. So what I wanted to do real quick was just look at the form itself and see what options we have. So I think they are individual styling controls on each field, but I wanted to see if there was something in the back end. Restrictions, yeah, nothing in here. So if we click on an individual form field, I should say, where is it? Appearance? Hello? Where is it? Here I am saying there's no form settings, and then I'm like, where is it? I saw it earlier. What did I do? Field settings. No. Email. Appearance. Where did it go? When the name field full name? Yeah, I can do that in a little bit. Where did the styling controls go? Gravity Forms 2.7 styling. Let's see. I'm sure I can find it here in just a second. Oh, it's because I'm in the actual form, like, you know, control system. I think I need to go. Okay, yeah. I got to be in the Gutenberg interface for it to pop up. There we go. So form theme is default or orbital. So orbitable. That's kind of a funny one. Let's just take a look on the front end at the difference of that. So it definitely looks better. I mean, it's not quite cohesive with this design. It's just a little bit different, but I do like the blue kind of focus effect. The submit button changes a little bit. So then what options do we have here? So input styles, border radius of 3. I played with this a little bit, and one thing that I found was it seemed like the effects didn't always update right away in the backend. So I don't know if maybe that was a bug or my environment or something like that. But if I wanted to change this to be a much more intense border radius. Oh, okay, never mind. I lied. It just did it right away. Of course it did. If I set them to large. Okay, so you have a couple more built-in controls now, which is really handy. Yeah, Daniel, you definitely can apply custom classes. If I go back to the individual field in the back end of Gravity Forms, then you can go to the Advanced tab, I believe it is. Or is it Appearance? Appearance tab. Then there's the custom CSS for each individual field. In terms of the whole system, the whole form, I guess not. But I think having those custom classes attached to an individual field is good enough. So you can override these, our background colors of the individual input. Obviously, we wouldn't want it to be like that in this particular instance. But it does tie in with the TranslatePress colors here, which I thought was super cool. So I'm not sure if that was an intentional thing or just a stroke of good luck, but it tying in with the TranslatePress global colors was really awesome. I thought that was very, very handy. Then, of course, we can change our field label colors. I believe that's what that is. Or is it the text inside of it? Let's publish this and take a look. It must be the text inside the actual field. Hello. No, that's definitely still black. Yeah, there's definitely plenty of CSS selectors on Gravity Forms. There's tons of them. What did that actually change, this deep blue that I set? Maybe I'm going to make this something else more dramatic so I can try to see where it went. So that's pink. Maybe the TranslatePress colors are overriding it. Oh, you can see. Oh, it's when I'm not focused in the field. Okay. That's kind of interesting. Can you then change the focus styles? So that's label styles, description, button background. Being able to use your TranslatePress global color again in this instance for the submit button is super awesome because that's something you would have to do with CSS in the past. You don't have controls for like the submit button width or position. That's a little bit disappointing. So these are relatively rudimentary, but I mean, if you don't know CSS, you should sign up for my course. But if you're not going to do that, then you can at least get a fair bit further with these controls than you could with without, you know, writing any CSS. So that's pretty handy. So I wanted to take a look at that. There obviously isn't a whole lot to show here because it's mainly just little bits of color controls and that kind of thing. But I do think it's, oh, I've actually been covering this up the whole time. I'm sorry. Wow, I apologize. There we go. I should have put myself there from the beginning. Let me go back real quick. So the form styles drop down, and then here's all the other controls. I may have actually covered up when I showed the class on the individual field here. I sure did. I gotta move myself even further out of the way. Pro Streamer. CSS custom classes is here in the back end. So I apologize if I covered that up because I almost certainly did. Yeah, so that I think is worth covering a little bit. That's why I wanted to bring this up. What form plugins do you guys use? Did you rely heavily on CSS for Gravity Forms? I have to imagine that you probably did. I definitely did. But I actually had just kind of like a basic style sheet that I would bring down in WP Codebox as like a global or like a cloud snippet. And I would just bring that in and it would at least look fairly reasonable. And then the only things that I would typically need to change would be like border radius, which now of course you can do built in, which is kind of handy. And then like the submit button color and hover color. And actually, you know what? Can you not change the hover colors of the button? Just goes to black. I guess that's probably in the TranslatePress theme controls. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know. It seems a little bit whack. I'm not sure why that would be. It's better. Definitely better. Does Fluent Forms have a styling system built in? It was an old one I used all the time years ago. I bet lots of people probably started off with Contact Form 7. That one was talk about rudimentary. Contact Form 7 was about as basic as it gets. Although it got the job done for most people, and it came bundled in most forms or most themes. It had, what was it, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of installs. So credit to them. Winston, you use Gravity Forms? Yeah, for sure. And I think Gravity Forms, if I'm not mistaken, still kind of leads the pack in terms of most. However, dude, you always say there's like these add-ons and stuff, but doesn't Fluent Forms also have additional plugins to add stuff? Let's see. I think Fluent Forms is a great product. I'm not hating on it, but the additional features, isn't it another plugin? Taylor gets hung up on the fact that the add-ons for Gravity Forms install as additional plugins. Yes, it has Customizer for a while, including checkbox and other input styling for Fluent Forms. Yeah, so I hope that the one for Gravity Forms is going to get better, because like this little button style right here says also used for form UI elements such as checkbox and radio. That's what this says here. It's really small. But let's actually add one of those real quick. So checkbox and radio buttons. I just want to see. Refresh. Okay, so yeah, it makes your radio and your checkbox color, which the one that you set in the back end, which again, as I've already said, ties into TranslatePress global colors. I wonder what other themes, and maybe it just picks up the colors from TranslatePress. I'm going to close out of that tab because I keep accidentally going back to that. So it tying in like that is really handy. Wonder what other themes it works for. I don't have any other themes to test off the top of my head, but it's interesting. Okay, so Fluent Forms has a base plugin plus the Pro. I see. Yeah, I don't really find it that big of a deal that it adds additional plugins, because I think, at least from like a performance perspective, if you don't need it, it's not there. And I'm sure that's true of Fluent Forms too. I'm not hating on Fluent Forms by any stretch, just talking about something I use. So I guess that's about it. Let's see if there's anything else I missed. New form theme and block styling controls. I wonder if they are going to tell us what else is coming. Head over to our pricing page, demo. I guess nothing at the moment. I assume there's probably more coming. They can't give us everything all at once, because then we're going to ask for more stuff and they won't have an update to send. So yeah, the Gravity Forms update is pretty good. I'm definitely going to stick with this for now. I think my license renewed in February, so I'm stuck with it for another year at least. We'll see how that goes. Oh yeah, let's see. I saw a chat message about WS Form. Let's see, where did it go? Yeah, Fluent Form says individual styling. WS Form has global styling control. Okay. Yeah, WS Form I think is like the most capable. I would compare WS Form to like the Oxygen of the page builder, bricks of the page builder space. something like that. I think WS form is like kind of ridiculously powerful. But the thing is, I've been able to build some pretty comprehensive stuff with gravity forms. I built like 2 custom order forms that had all kinds of calculations and conditions and stuff. So it's like you can get a really, really long way. Have I used Bitform? No, definitely not. That's the thing, is I've used gravity forms for so long. There's so many other ones out there. It's kind of insane. I've used a couple of form plugins, you know, just on various client sites over the years, in terms of just stumbling on it and being obligated to deal with it for a little bit until we can get them switched over to gravity forms. It's just one of those like kind of comfort factor things. You know, I just know the ins and outs of it. Gravity Wiz will boost your gravity forms. Yeah, I mean, Gravity Wiz is cool. There's been a couple of times where I've had to use it. Trying to think of one. Actually, there was one time when I was helping a client really early on, probably like 5 years ago, and they were selling booths at an event, but we needed to be able to have the person pick from the available booths, and obviously you can only sell the booth once. So Gravity Wiz had like an add-on that made it so as you bought items out of like a checkbox or a drop-down, they would like kind of be grayed out and you couldn't buy them again. You could probably do something like that with code fairly easily now, but at the time I definitely could not have done that. So yeah, gravity forms it is. Can you check out WP Codebox new 2.0 beta? Yes, sir. That is on my list. In fact, that's a couple of things away, so I'm going to make you wait just a little bit. I'm going to keep you hooked on the stream. The other thing that I wanted to cover that I've used quite a bit that I really like and have intended to make a video on for a very long time is TranslatePress. So if you're not familiar with TranslatePress, it is, of course, a translation plugin, but they have a really great free version. And there's been a couple of cases where, here, I'll pull this up so you can, not settings, that's not what I meant to do, view details. I used this on a site that ended up having like 6 different languages, and they had a really specific use case where they had people on staff who translated their site, you know, their blog posts and everything, because they did it in so many languages that they had people who specialized in these languages. And so their job was to go into the site and translate it. And in the past, they were doing it manually. They were creating individual pages and blog posts and like putting them in a category called French or Japanese or whatever. And so that was really, that was just, I thought, insane. So I did a lot of research, and that was probably about 2 years ago. And we landed on TranslatePress primarily because the free version allows you to add in an additional language. So of course it defaults to your WordPress content. And then you can add in another one. So if we went with, I don't know, something I can vaguely understand, Spanish, we'll go with Mexico. So you can add that in. And then I believe, does it let you add multiple? Maybe the free version now lets you do more than one, but I could have sworn that it was just one. Let's see. What about, we'll go with German, I guess. I'm not sure the difference between German formal and then, yeah, I guess it's just German formal. Oh, okay, here we go. So yeah, to add more than 2, check out our Pro, which I think is totally reasonable. So let's just save this. And then the thing that I think is so cool is you can give specific users the ability to translate the site. So in that case, you know, with the one that I mentioned, they were able to, of course, I helped them create a user access level where they can go in and translate the site. So we can click this little button, and then it's like a string translation, which is so neat. So if I go to Spanish, then I click on something, and there may be other plugins like this, but TranslatePress just has been my go-to for a while now. You can click on the string, like home, and then you just translate it to Spanish. And then everywhere that word exists, it's going to translate and keep that updated for you. So you only have to do it once, which is really, really neat. And then, you know, if you translate something like recent posts, I can click on that and it selects that string, and then I translate it. I'm not gonna embarrass anybody or myself by trying to come up with the Spanish or using a translate plugin and it be wrong. Actually, you know what? Let's just do it. So let's see. Recent posts. Is that what that says? Is it post with an S? Yeah. So then Spanish. Maybe that's reasonably right. So you would just take the translated string, pop that into the Spanish, and then save. And then you can see that it switches So whenever I load the page, it's going to go back to English. And I just thought that was so cool. So now anywhere that particular string exists, like recent posts, it's going to update across your site. So then the other example, actually, there's not really that much text content on this page. I was going to say for longer strings like these post titles, you know, if you have a really long string, like let's say your brand name or something that you're going to use really frequently, then again, you translate that once into the languages that you want to show up and it populates and it just works great. It's super, super cool. Technology says TranslatePress is excellent for countries like Australia where there are various native languages for each state. This plugin lets you create native language strings per state. That's super cool. Yeah, so I think the other thing worth mentioning is that some of the add-ons include the automatic language detection, so based on browser or IP address of where they are. And that was another cool thing, is we could automatically put, you know, somebody in France into the French version or whatever, but they can also, of course, change it back. There's the automatic deep L, which we did use as kind of a fallback for in case there was a case, you know, a situation where they haven't translated a particular string. So that was pretty cool. And then on the front end, if I were to save this, obviously there's not a whole lot translated at the moment. By default, there's this little like switcher down here. So if I were to switch it into Spanish, then it switches. And you can see it automatically adds that additional string here without us having to recreate that post. So like for a blog, let's see, posts. If I were to go here and then, you know, switch this to Spanish, I don't have to recreate it. It just adds that ES in front of the URL. So that was really, really handy in the case of like, you know, archives and custom pages and stuff like that. So I thought TranslatePress was really cool. And it worked great with Oxygen, which is what I was using at the time. Works great with GeneratePress. I really think that TranslatePress is one of the most flexible translation plugins out there. So I'm curious if anybody else has used it. What translation plugins do you guys use, if any? I know there's a lot of people that watch the stream that are from Europe and, you know, other places where there's a lot more languages than Freedom Land, like I'm in. So I'd be curious about that. I've actually been really intrigued by, you know, as I mentioned, I'm going to be in Europe in about a month and a half or so. And there's so many things like booking train tickets and, you know, just different things like hotels and stuff. And there's all these language switchers. And I'm just like, man, that's so cool. It's really neat to accommodate for that. Like booking, you know, train tickets in the Netherlands. There's like 4 different languages that you can pick from on the national website. Is there a good plugin for throwing together a dark mode for a website? Not that I know of off the top of my head. I think probably one of the best tutorials right now is Kyle's from the admin bar. Let's see. I'm going to go, where does he not have a search? Oh, it's down here. Dark mode. I thought he had a tutorial on it. Maybe he doesn't. He definitely has it on his own posts. So I'm not sure exactly where his tutorial went. I could have sworn he had one, but maybe not. I don't think it's terribly difficult though. I think it's just a little bit of CSS and then adding like kind of a custom button like this to handle the switching back and forth. I can look into that though. So yeah, TranslatePress, pretty quick overview on it, but I think that it's a worthwhile plugin to look into, especially because like you just saw, the free version is super, super powerful. And then you can add on these other, you know, multiple language packs and stuff. And I don't think it's terribly expensive. They were actually at WordCamp, and the guys and gals that were at the TranslatePress table were super nice. There was a ton of them. The team, I think, is huge. I had no idea, but there was like, I don't know if you remember, Taylor, there was like 7 or 8 people standing around the booths. And meanwhile, some of the other companies had like 1, maybe 2 people standing there. I was like, I saw them sitting at lunch together and there was like 9 of them at one table. So the TranslatePress is really cool. If you want a powerful free plugin, this is definitely the one to use, especially if you want multiple languages and the ability to translate yourself. I thought that was super cool. Yeah, search being in the footer is a little bit atypical, but then again, Kyle is atypical, so. Okay, so next up, I want to cover Motion Page 2.0. So this is something that I've been intending to cover for a while. It's been a good bit since I've done any content on Motion Page. I think that the probably the most comprehensive set of tutorials out there right now on Motion Page. You know, I have a couple, of course, but Kraka, Design with Kraka, he has a bunch of tutorials, and they're really great. Also, Luke. Hey, good morning, Brad. Welcome in, or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I'm not sure. Let's see. Press Technologies YouTube. I think I've showed this before, but Luke has a couple of recent videos on Motion Page stuff, and they're super cool. I think that if you are someone that wants to use Motion Page, or somebody that's adept at it, you can get a lot of views by making Motion Page content, because it's not exactly easy. So what I wanted to do was look at the video transcription feature. So 2.0 has a bunch of cool stuff. It's got UI updates, and I think it's even got like a light and dark mode for the UI. But what I wanted to do was take a look at the video feature. And essentially what you can do is, like, let's say there's like Pexels video. So you can download like a little video, and it will transcode it, I guess, into images for you, so that then you can do kind of that like Apple scroll effect where like things change as you scroll down the page. So we'll see if we can get something like that set up. I used it right when the 2.0 beta came out, I don't know, months ago, and I kind of had a hard time, but I think there was some bugs at the time. So I downloaded this video here, little simple video, because I thought there might be kind of a cool scroll effect. We could have some text come in and out and just see what we can come up with. So what is this video? 8 seconds long. Nothing too crazy. So let's see if we can hop into Motion Page. We might have to switch back and forth between TranslatePress or generate blocks in the back end and Motion Page on the front end, but we're going to hop in and see. So we will call this timeline video transcription. Transcription, that's a hard word. And then I'm going to need to probably add this in, but we're going to have a scroll trigger, I believe, which is going to make it so that as we scroll down the page, cool stuff happens. Let's see, where is this? Lottie image sequence. Oh, okay, we need to add the MP canvas shortcode. Okay, see, it shows what I know. Let's go to pages, and then on our home page, let's go ahead and above this content, we're going to add in a new container, and then just a simple short code, and it was MP, was it MP underscore canvas? Oh no, MP dash canvas. So then this should be full width, even though we don't, well, actually we probably need to go set a full width layout in TranslatePress so we can do that. So that there it clearly is right there because it's taking up some space. Let's go ahead and set an element, and we're going to go with a layout, then full width, content, no sidebars, disable element. Let's go with content title and featured image, display rule, entire site, and then full width, publish. So now our homepage should be completely full width with no sidebars. Yeah, there we go. So then let's take a look and see if our MP canvas is in there. It is. Cool. That's perfect. So we'll see if we can make something work with this. Ethan says, David is also building a new core framework that's replacing Oxy Ninja. It looks great. Just reminded me when you mentioned Motion Page. Yeah. So that's on the Oxy Ninja Facebook. I think he gave kind of a teaser of the core framework plugin that looks really cool. I haven't had a chance to personally play with it, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, I could be speaking out of turn because I just don't understand it, but I think the idea is that you can almost build your own framework out of it. You can sort of customize other frameworks too. Like, I imagine you could use selectors out of other frameworks, but I think the idea is that you can kind of build your own visually and then make it a lot easier to use. So we'll see. Once we kind of have a chance to play with it a little bit more, and I can talk to David and just get a better sense for what it's supposed to do. But yeah, it does look pretty cool. So with this, we now have our canvas. So let's refresh our preview here in the back end. So target MP canvas, there we go. You don't have any uploaded sequences yet. I want to transcribe a video. Wonder if I have to save this and then refresh. Real time figuring it out. See if this is going to save Maybe. I'm not frozen, just waiting for this. Hopefully it saves here. I wonder if maybe I need to refresh motion page. I'm just going to do that. It's not going to be terribly difficult. Looks like it didn't save the timeline at all. So video is what I'll call that. Scroll trigger. I think we want to lock to scroll bar. We'll come back to these settings in a little bit. Image sequence, target this, save timeline. Hopefully it saves properly this time. If I need to upload, no. I thought you upload the video directly in here and it transcribes it right in the browser. Oh, I forgot. It requires SSL. So since I'm using a local site, I gotta trust this real quick. Trust. Yeah, good one, Taylor. Okay. So if I refresh this, I should have SSL now, because I think the particulars of that video transcription is that it has to be SSL and it has to be in Chrome, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not secure yet. So do I have to go to, yeah, okay, gotta go to local WordPress settings and save that. So there we go. And then I think I was high security here. Yep, perfect. Okay, so now we have SSL, so we should be able to go to motion page at this point, and then it should work, I believe. Hopefully. Video attempt 3. Okay, so scroll trigger and locked scroll bar, and then can I do anything yet to save my timeline? I was hoping to save it so I don't have to do this again. Image sequence, target, save. Guess there's nothing to save yet. So now we have our transcode video. I keep saying transcribe. Transcode video. So if we download this, so here's our video. Transcoded video, you'll get transcoded into an image sequence. That's perfect. So our source is 1920 by 1080. FPS is cinematic. So transcode will give us 210 images. So that's pretty awesome. Let's see what happens here. Also, if I don't realize that I'm covering up something with my face cam, just shout at me and I'll go backward and try to pick that back up. So image fit. Cover, that's all good. Skip every frame. Skip every 5th frame. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Disable on. Oh, cool. I didn't know there was these disable conditions. Slow connection, Chrome, Safari, Firefox. I'm going to disable it on Firefox because I know Taylor uses Firefox. Taylor. It's funny. Fallback method, remove canvas, keep canvas. Oh, that's cool. So display first image seems to be good. Disable timeline on fallback. Probably so. Lazy load images. If it was outside of the viewport, we might want that. Reverse, play the image sequence in reverse. So this isn't going to be exactly what we want because as we scroll, I don't think we're going to see it work properly. I think we need this to be kind of fixed on the page. So we may need to use a little bit of CSS to kind of position this canvas, set its height, and that kind of thing. Dang, I don't know if it's my local environment or if this just takes a while to save, but every time I click that button, it seems to... Oh, there we go. It finally saved. So let's just quickly take a look on the front end and see how it behaves. Oh, wow, that's so cool. So you can see it's kind of moving a little bit as I scroll. So then what do I need to do to this canvas? So height is 100%, but it doesn't actually take up 100%. Great stream. Thanks, Rocky. Appreciate that. Thanks for hanging out. I probably need to set my... Oh, because it's inside of a container. I bet that's probably why. So let me refresh this. And then let's get that shortcode out of the container. And that will probably help. Because then I assume it's going to be 100% width and height based on the CSS that Motion Page sets. No? Apparently not. Oh, it's got a min height of 200. Okay. Look at that. That looks terrible. Min height. Let's go with 50 VH. And then position relative. I guess maybe that's not the one that I want to set. Height of 200. Where is that coming from? Aspect ratio is off. Maybe I'm just doing this wrong. Maybe I don't want to do it with CSS. Let me refresh this. Yeah, I mean, I took it out of the container, Taylor. So height there, if I go 50 VH, it's just stretching the aspect ratio. Is that because I set contain? Maybe I want it to be cover, or it's cover actually. No, okay. I still want cover. Tiki Dev, welcome. Oh, I keep going to that tab. I do that all the time. Is it width 100%? I wonder if I don't want min height. Maybe I want height. No, it makes no difference. Happy to. This has been now a consecutive month. This is the 4th consecutive stream, and I'm really enjoying these. I'm really looking forward to this, and it's kind of becoming a habit, so it's honestly making it a little bit easier. I was struggling to come up with the topic for this week, but next week is worth mentioning as I can take a break real quick here. Next week, I have Dave Foy joining me, who you may have known from a couple of years ago. He created some Elementor courses that did extremely well, and then he kind of switched to Webflow for a while, but he's back in WordPress and is working with Bricks. So we're going to be talking about all things Bricks Builder, and then we are also going to be talking about just course creation and some other cool stuff like that. So super excited to have Dave on. Our stream title is going to be something like is Bricks the Holy Grail or something like that? All the Grail references from, of course, Monty Python. So it should be a really, really good time. I agree, Taylor. Container, and then we'll set that shortcode back inside the paragraph. And then we'll set our container to a size of height 50 VH. So then if we update and refresh, does it just automatically take up the space? Oh, okay, yeah. All right, that's way, way, way easier. So it's just going to fill the container that it's in. So don't make the same mistake that I just did. How far behind is the stream? I have this YouTube preview. Oh, it's way back. Okay. That's really funny. I just was like, how far behind is the stream? Because I looked over in my little YouTube preview and it was showing like the admin bar website from like 15 minutes ago. Rocky, I'm sure we can ask him on the stream. It'll be a great time to ask stuff like that. All right. So now we have the video more in line with where we want it. So that's already starting to look better. However, we probably want this to be 100 VH, so it takes up the whole screen, and then we may even want to set an overlay header, just depending on what we want. Also, we would want to set this as absolute, I believe, so that it kind of stays in place and lets us scroll over the top of it. So with this GB container, position, or actually, we want absolute, top 0, bottom 0. I think we would want all of them. Like this. So that's going to be a little bit wonky because we have some stuff behind it. Oh wait, not absolute. Okay. Let's just go with fixed. So that way it kind of stays where we want it. Yeah, look at that. Okay, so as I'm scrolling, the additional stuff is coming into view and the video goes back and forth. That's so cool. So neat. Maybe we would just want position sticky on that, actually. Oh, wait, I did it on the canvas. I want it on the container. Yeah. Position sticky is what you want, because then it completes the scroll and then brings the stuff into view. Oh, man, that's awesome. So you may not want the reverse. Like on the, for instance, on like the Apple website, when they do those cool effects, does it reverse? Let's see. So as you scroll, it pops those in. Let's see. So it looks like it starts the effect, but then it doesn't go backward. I guess this one is just a continuous loop of these people running until it completes. But yeah, well, actually the 5G one, I guess it does restart. So I don't know. I was just thinking like from a UX perspective and that sort of thing, what would be the best way to do it? We'll exit out of that. We don't need this tab. Green Shift can do this, but it's so much more technical. I'm just watching the stream for you. I have zero knowledge of Motion Page. Thanks. Yeah. Green Shift I think is really cool, but Motion Page is just so awesome to be able to do all this stuff for you automatically. So then the other thing that we could do is let's play with this a little bit. So I think if we add in like a heading and then we were just like, you need the MacBook page. Yeah, you're right. That one has all the cool effects. Welcome to the beach or something like that. Then when we would make this an H1, and then the text color would be something like white, and we can't see that on the back end. That's okay. We should be able to see it on the front end, and then we can use Motion Page to position that for us. Let's see, where does it end up? Let's go back into Motion Page and refresh. What happens to that element inside the container? MP sequence. I guess we need to somehow position it on top because like, you know, the whole approach with these sorts of effects is that you have things that happen kind of on top of it. So maybe this isn't like the best version of this video, but I was hoping to maybe just have like the text fade in as you scroll or something like that. I think we can figure this out. I probably need to add a new animation node. And then the selector is going to be that H1, which I think it will have a specific class on it, but I could also just give this a ID of like intro heading like that. And then for our animation selector, say intro heading. Can I not just enter that? Does it let me target it without the class? That doesn't seem right. Oh, I guess there's like a weird bug where I pasted it in and it wouldn't let me target that selector. So then we would want to adjust our position at the start here. Where is it? Is it custom? Opacity, translate. Dimensions. Well, I don't think it's going to be position relative here because it's not actually inside of this. As far as I'm aware, the way that Motion Page works is it's optimized in that it only outputs the code that you actually put in the timeline. So it could be as lightweight or as complex as you need. It is a good question for these sorts of scrolling effects. But you could also do, like with the transcription feature, where did it go? Right here on this timeline, there's the ability to do like lazy loading on these. So it's just a sequence of images. So you could technically, you could push this further down your page and have it lazy load. So then it doesn't have to be a hero image like we're doing in this example here. If we go with, I want to take a look on the front end because it's going to be a little bit easier for me to play with these. So I can get this H1 inside here, unless there's a way that you're supposed to put it inside of the Motion Page canvas sequence, but I would assume maybe not, because this should be position relative, and then but this one is in the same. Well, let's just give this a go. Position absolute. Oh, not post. Position, and then let's just go with top 0, and then yeah, okay, there it is. So we're making some progress here. See, this is what I'm talking about, where like if there's somebody who is really adept at this, had like really good creativity, you know, it would be a lot easier to make tutorials on this and have people follow it than me just kind of looking at this and fumbling my way through it. I first thought it was like Revolution slider, which is really heavy, but it's all GSAP and super light. One of the best investments I bought. Yeah, totally agree, Evan. Plus, I got the chance to meet Rados and David, both in Portugal and in Spain, and man, they are such cool guys. Really hard workers, and this obviously is such a great tool. So then position top. I think what I actually want to do in this case is, let's see, I'm trying to think. I think I want to add another container on this so that I can set the container to a max width. And then the H1, so it will fit more like in my container. I'm trying to think. Because technically you don't need to do this with CSS. You can do it in your timeline controls, which is pretty cool. So is there container controls? What are my position options? I forget. Only relative. That's actually fine though. In this case, we would want our container to be relative so we can set the headline to absolute. So then I think what I'm going to do here is go with a container, and this one is going to be a width of 100%, max width of global max width, 1200. That's perfect. And then our margin left and right is going to be auto. Then we're going to stick that headline inside of it. This should work, I believe. And then this position was actually going to be absolute, I think. Trying to think. Let's publish this. Refresh real quick. So our headline is going to reset because that was just here in the customizer, or in the inspect tool. So this position will be absolute top 0. So that puts it there. And then actually I think max width drops off. So I think I'm going to forego that on this and do position absolute top 0. So yeah, okay, this is what I want. So that way I don't lose my max width, because with that, with the absolute setting, then max width no longer applies. So that H1 is kind of where I want it now. And then is it as simple as setting all my margin to auto to get it in the center? So margin auto. No. I could just use flex on this though. I think anyway. If I go with this container, display of flex, align items center, and then I'm going to make sure it should be 100% width, but I want to just make sure 100%. So I think if I update this, and let me, before I get out of here, let me double check what I just did. So my H1 is going to have an absolute and a top of 0. So let's go back to motion page. So position absolute, and then a top of 0, top of 0, like that. Let's refresh this because we should see, ooh, I guess it doesn't like that 100% width. Let's save this timeline and refresh on the front end real quick and see. Yes, it does not like that. What happened? It doesn't like when I set it to flex. Why would that be? I guess there's something in the MP sequence. Oh, so that's set as display block? Okay, let me undo that. So clearly that's not going to work. We can find a different solution. I mean, that's close. So then what if I just do a little bit of hacky and go Can I just do 50%? Oh yeah, there we go. I'm an idiot. That's all I needed to do. Okay, so top 50% is where we're gonna start. Actually, no, let's do this. We can animate this. So top of 20% at the start. And then let's make the opacity something like, I don't know, 0.3. And then we're gonna go to the 2 tab, and then the opacity is going to be 1. And then the custom property of top is going to be, let's say 50%. So then you can kind of see it animating like that. And I wonder if we can put an overlay on top of the image sequence. And actually, we could even delay it a little bit. So as it loads, it doesn't quite come in. So we would want this opacity to be maybe more like 0 at the start. So moving, and then it's going to come down and fade in. And that white text doesn't quite look good. We could add a text shadow, I guess. Ooh, look at that. It plants itself right on top of the horizon. Wow, that is cool. We could just do a custom property here of text shadow, right? I don't know exactly what the parameters are. Sometimes with stuff with GSAP is a little bit different. Like z-index is not just z-index like you write in CSS. It's like lowercase z, capital I, no hyphen, no space. Yeah, Jim. So the reason why the left is off a little bit is because TranslatePress has some default padding here that I haven't removed. So that's why like the contained width is just a little bit off from the heading and the header like that. So text shadow should be like, I don't know, 0, 3, 5, and then RGBA, let's go 0.25. Is that gonna work? Oh yeah, it does, awesome. And then I'm gonna save this timeline, and then on my actual heading itself, I can't see it because it's white here in the back end, but I wanna set my font weight to something really thick. Thick boy! Update. So then we should see this functional on the front end. So it's a little bit there. I guess my opacity is not fully 0, but as I scroll down, oh, and I also need to set the container to sticky. What's the best way to do this? I think I would just do this in CSS normally, but on my container that I created that wraps the motion page shortcode, oh, I set this to relative. Is that going to botch my layout? It might. It's not sticky anymore. What did I do? I can't remember now. Did I set that on the sequence? Maybe it's being overridden. Let's go with just the position of sticky on the element itself. And then, oh, there's no top, that's why. Position of sticky and then top 0. Now it should stay. Yeah, there we go. That's all I needed. All I need is a position sticky and a top of 0. Oh yeah, baby, look at that. And then I think what I would probably do is, obviously this can't stay there because then it's just gonna be sticky forever. So then you would need to kind of unset the sticky at a certain scroll position, which is kind of the point, I believe, of these scroll bars. So once it reaches a certain point, then it changes it to no longer be sticky at the end of the animation. Unless there's a better way to do that, I'm not 100% sure, but you can see the general, function of it works. That's just pure luck that this headline was so perfect and it came right up to the horizon. I'm stoked with that. That's actually really, really neat. I did not expect this to work that well. Danielle, thank you so much for hanging out. It's been what, a full hour now? Yeah, over an hour. Cool. Thanks for joining. You'll definitely want to come back later and check out the WP Codebox stuff. And then there's a couple more things. So yeah. What do you guys think of Motion Page? I thought that's pretty slick. I'm super stoked on that. I'm gonna quickly take just a swift break, and then I will be right back. Yeah, so I'll be right back. Okay. Back to party. So let's see. Let's catch up. Yeah, Evan, totally agree. Triggers are worth it alone. I mean, there's a ton of them. The other thing is, we just used a scroll trigger, but you can have another timeline entirely for different types of triggers. So you can go page load, click and hover. All that stuff is awesome. Like I've said, these things are really handy because it's so often that I would get clients that are like, we want some motion on our page. Aptly named plugin, I might add. And the scroll trigger alone is enough. You can also use like the stagger element. So, if you have like some cards, like a card layout, you can have them kind of fade in really nicely. I have a video on that from a while back with Oxygen, but the stagger effect is still really, really handy and something that just adds a nice bit of motion to the page. Nice bit of interactivity, I guess you might say. The other thing I wanted to quickly see if I can figure out how to unsticky this at a certain point. So how would I guess what I would do is on the element that I set as sticky, I did this here in the customizer, so I probably would want to change this. So let's take this selector into motion page. I'm going to add a new node. Add a node, there we go. So this one is going to be this .gb container. I guess it really doesn't like when you copy and paste stuff in there. You got to like back it up a little bit and then, paste it in yourself manually, I guess. So what I'm going to do is extend this to be the full timeline, maybe even a little bit past. So then our start, we're not going to touch. Well, actually, yeah, we do need to touch it. So our start is going to be custom position of sticky, and then top of 0. And then our 2 is going to be a position, holy moly, I can't type, position of relative. And then that should make it so it unstickies. I think. I could be wrong. Okay, so that doesn't work. I wonder why that doesn't work. Do I need a top on this one as well? Oh, top. I guess it doesn't like that position sticky. I wonder if that's not a GSAP property. There's stuff like that. There's little oddities like I've mentioned. All I really wanted to do is just make it so that after the timeline ends, it kind of releases that sticky effect. That's something I've not had to do before, so I don't know exactly how I do that. I guess I'll play with that just a little bit. But for the sake of the stream, we're going to go ahead and move on. If there's additional interest in that, drop that in the comments and let me know. I'll see if I can come up with this and make this tutorial a little bit cleaner, because really this is not that difficult. We played with it a little bit, hop back and forth between, inspector and generate blocks and stuff, but this all will work great. So we'll save that and get out of here. Let's see, the next thing I wanted to touch on is the WP Codebox 2.0 beta. I think we're at beta 3 now. So we are definitely coming along here. One thing that I think is awesome is that you have a lot more controls on where to insert these snippets, and then there are additional features in where to run the snippet. So like for PHP, Heinrich, welcome, supporter, membership. I appreciate you very much. Memberships are a great way to support the channel. So if you guys aren't already a member, you can click the little join button. It's $4.99 a month. And it's just you get some special emojis. And I also mentioned earlier on in the stream, I'm going to be making some changes to just kind of the general whole community here. And a big part of that is I want to try to make the memberships more worthwhile. So that's coming at some point in the future, along with the CSS course. I'm going to kind of wrap everything together over the next few weeks. We'll see how that goes. Leonardo says, you prefer WP Codebox over code snippets? Yes, absolutely. WP Codebox is fantastic. Yeah, you were gone for a while. Welcome back. Glad to have you back. Good to see a familiar name and a face here. You've been part of the streams for many years now, so I appreciate that. Also, I got to drop it in. If you're not, if you haven't already liked the stream, please do that. And then also go ahead and make sure you're subscribed, because next Friday, same time, of course, I have Dave Foy on, and we're going to be talking Bricks Builder, courses, all that kind of stuff. So if you have questions, definitely please drop that in the chat. Or actually drop it as a comment so it doesn't get lost. Or message me. You can do that too. With CodeBox, WP CodeBox, I did a video on the, kind of the context of CSS yesterday, and it's just really, really handy. So I think it's worth looking at. You have an API key that kind of ties your instances of WP CodeBox together. And what's so cool about that is you can save these snippets to the cloud. So if you look at the cloud snippets, I have a couple of these. One thing that I've had to use quite a bit lately with Cloudways and Elastic Email, and that's something I wanted to talk about in a little bit, is this WP change emails. And so like this is just a simple filter function that I created so that all the emails from the site are forced to have a from email and then the business name as kind of the from name. So having this ability, I can just go ahead and download this. I can click download from cloud and it puts it straight into my site. So I don't have to do anything. I can just upload that straight there, which is super cool. Of course, I've touched on some of this other stuff before, like editor themes, and got some other cool functions like this. But let's take a look specifically at some of the new control. Oh gosh, LastPass. Which, by the way, I know I'm aware of what happened with LastPass, just so everybody knows. With the snippets, so where to insert the snippet, you had a decent bit of control before, but now we have a lot more control. This feels like almost more along the lines of like TranslatePress hooks and how you could insert those. So what is the shortcode? It turns it into a shortcode. Is that what happens here? I actually haven't done that. Let's go to the WP emails, and then where to insert. Let's go with shortcode, and let's just say emails and see what happens. Does that just create a snippet or turn the snippet into a shortcode? I actually don't know. I haven't played with this yet. I assume this means you don't have to wrap your functions with the shortcode feature to be able to get a shortcode out of it, which is pretty cool. So you have all the other options that you would definitely want when you're working with your standard site. So if you want to add code to your head or wherever, you can do all of that. WP head and footer, admin head, all the login functions. We only had, I think, like 4 of these before in terms of these insert points. You can also do custom actions. So one thing that's pretty cool is I believe with this custom action, you could tie into the TranslatePress hooks, which of course there's a ton of them. So you can do before and after sidebars and all that kind of stuff. It's a little bit duplicated in terms of the capability, but if you want to keep all your code inside WP CodeBox, which I absolutely do, then this is really cool because you could add, something like AdSense code above your sidebar, for instance, with this, which is just great. And for me, I'm using these across all of my sites, so it's just such a great way to keep everything consistent. Brad says definitely want to pick it up. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it doesn't cost that much, and of course you can use my links, which would be great. But it's a great plugin, and I hope the full version of 2.0 is coming out pretty soon. I think the hang up right now is just the migration from getting code snippets from 1.x up into 2.0 is apparently proving somewhat difficult. The condition builder, I also think, has additional options here. So there was a bunch of other things that, or not a bunch, but I should say there was things that we could do like current page and post and that sort of thing. There's additional options in this condition builder, which is great. So if you know for a fact that your code should only load on whatever post type, like if you have a custom push type, in this case I have locations, or sometimes you may even want it to be only on a specific post, and you can do that with these conditions. Whereas like, using the TranslatePress customizer, you can't do that. Or I shouldn't say the TranslatePress customizer, I should say the customizer in general. Let's see, I'll just pop it in chat real quick. /go/WP code box, like, there we go. Yeah, there we go. That's the link to grab WP code box in the chat there. So this is just a really powerful plugin. I think the other thing worth taking a look at is the other types of snippets. So of course that one was PHP. So we have CSS. Oh, cool. Yeah. So with the where to insert CSS snippets. In fact, let's look at one like this. So where to insert the snippet, you can do this in multiple locations, which is super awesome. So now I could say, you know, front end header, or if I want to do a specific place, I can put those in the right spot, which is really handy because you might want the CSS to appear in a couple different places. Really nice. Other than that, CSS didn't see that much in terms of difference. Inline and external file were both there. Auto reload changes is awesome. If you didn't see the video from yesterday on the CSS, we can auto reload changes to see things in real time. And actually, this might be worth showing real quick. So, you know, I have this Gravity Form styles that I just downloaded from the cloud. I could simply save this and turn it on. And then, you know, with our homepage that we were looking at earlier, in fact, we have this right here. We're going to see some changes on the Gravity Form styles. It has a little bit of a box shadow effect, and the border radius is less, you know, less there. Looks fine. Not that much different, actually, though. Leonardo says, I think it would be awesome if they would incorporate an AI snippet generator that you could run generated snippets all from the back end. You mean like something that would generate the snippets in WP Codebox for you? Like with the prompt? I think, I could be wrong, but I think that the developer had talked about integrating his WP Cody system, but I don't know where that stands because I know his priority for a while now has been just getting WP Codebox 2.0 live and, you know, functional and ready. So I would imagine that will come in some time, but I don't think it's a huge priority for him at the moment. I think that would be really cool, though. I do agree. I think that's great. Let's see, what else? Let me pull up the changelog real quick for WP Codebox 2.0. WP Codebox 2.0 beta. I'm sure there's other stuff that I'm forgetting. Beta 2.3, here we go. Monaco integrations, autocomplete for WordPress functions, color picker for CSS. Yeah, that's really cool. So you can see just by simply clicking on this, you can get those in. And you also have the definitions, which is pretty cool. So if you, let's see, what is it? Just hover over it? Yeah, if you just hover over a specific rule, it'll give you the syntax and the description of that from the Mozilla developer, what is it, network. The MDN docs, which is really cool. Oxygen color picker, Bricks color picker, automatic CSS integration, CSS variable support and autocomplete. It did work before, but it gave you a little warning that was like, you know, color not recognized, but the variable would work on the front end. So that must be fixed now. So if we had like a var, and then that's interesting, the color doesn't pop in there. I wish that it would pick up some of your root colors, because like with TranslatePress, I know if we scroll down, there's a bunch of them, our WP presets. There's our TranslatePress global colors. So we could just take this global color and pop that in there. We only need 2 sets of dashes, but now thankfully you don't get the little warning that says, you know, color unrecognized. Emmet support, I don't know much about Emmet, to be honest. It's probably something I need to look into. And then functionality plugins. Save and execute code snippets from a functionality plugin without loading them from the database. So that's pretty cool. I think that allows you to get rid of WP Codebox as a plugin and still keep the code snippets. So that's pretty sick. Kind of a hassle to do with custom functionality plugins otherwise. SCSS partials, that's another one. That's pretty advanced if you don't know SCSS, but that is really cool. Render PHP and HTML snippets using custom shortcodes. So that must be what I was dabbling with just a little bit here. So I bet if I stuck that email on the front end and loaded the page, then it would trigger this, which in this particular case is not really that useful, but you can kind of see that you could run these snippets in very specific places, which is awesome. Save UI settings to the cloud. We've looked at that. New code snippet conditions. Okay, so the new ones is user logged in and user device, mobile versus desktop. So that's nice. There's a safe mode, which I think is improved. It used to kind of break your install and it'd be tough to undo it, but now I believe safe mode is a lot better, so that's great. And then a bunch of bug fixes. So overall, WP Codebox is coming a really long way. This 2.0 update is really great. So yeah, that's about all I had to say on WP Codebox, unless anybody has some specific questions. Taylor was in here, and he was the one that asked about WP Codebox, and then he's been gone for who knows how long. I don't know if he actually dipped out or if he's just been silent. I was looking for a save button, found it. Always paranoid about losing work. Yeah, save button is up there. So you have to save and turn snippets on. Sometimes even I forget to do that, where I'm like, why is this not working? And then I forget. But also, of course, you can do Control S on your keyboard and it will save the snippet for you, which is super handy. It's a great piece of functionality to have. Oh, maybe this is the generate. Shortcode generator, shortcode name, my test. Oh, okay, so I could just take this and pop that in there. Not sure that's exactly what I was after. I'll have to play with this a bit more in the shortcode feature. I want to find a practical use case for running the shortcode on the front end. I wonder what that would be. Yeah, I can't think of one off the top of my head. One other topic that I wanted to bring up, I might end up skipping, to be honest, was I was just curious. Somehow in your CSS video, WP Codebox preview was dark moded. Did that come from your browser settings? Yeah, so that was kind of a weird one. When I was on this CSS preview, I don't actually know why it does this. And it's like this right now. So all that I ended up doing was I think I just said like body background white so that it ended up just changing, you know? I fixed that in the middle of the video. I should have addressed it more, but I don't know why it does that. I'm not sure if it's like a theme compatibility thing, or maybe there's some like weird, you know, just preview setting or something. I don't really know why, but yeah, you're right, Tiki. It was dark moded, as you say, just like that. How long have you been going here? An hour and a half, doing pretty good. It's a good stream. We're going to wrap it up here pretty soon. I had 2 more discussion topics that I wanted to talk about, and then if you have any other questions, we can bring it up. It could pick up browser setting. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think I have it defaulted to dark mode all the time. I think I have it to where it's like, what's it called? Where it changes depending on the time of day. One thing I wanted to ask was about how many of you guys are using ChatGPT, if you're using it actively, to help you develop code or ask questions about code or whatever. Because I found that I was able to do a hell of a lot with ChatGPT, especially with creating custom functions and building, custom features for WordPress site. I was like, man, this thing is amazing. I've not done any videos on it because it was so overdone, and but I'm using it a lot, so I feel like it was worth talking about. In fact, let me pull up the site that I was using, and I just want to kind of walk you guys through some of the stuff that you can do if you have even a vague idea of what you're after. Yeah, I feel you, Ethan. Totally feels like a fraud for sure. But I mean, the thing is, it works, and if it's functional, then I don't know that there's much to be, I don't know that there's much to feel bad about. I guess except maybe the morality of where the code's coming from. That's a possibility. So maybe I should try to log in real quick so I can show you kind of the sequence. I think that's going to be a more useful bit of, content to show. Let me log in real quick here and see. Password. Okay. So trying to get this pulled up here. I was trying to find the one that I was going to show you in this example site. Okay, so yes, ChatGPT is great, but I've read that a lot of developers think GitHub Copilot outputs better code. I'd be interested in what languages it seems to perform better in. If it's like, if it does something like Python or Ruby or something like that better. If you like ChatGPT, you might enjoy the Harpa AI Chrome extension. I'll check that out here in a second. Okay, so this is kind of a cool one. I forget, what was I using this for? Oh, yeah. So I'll just pop this over here so you can see this. You can see there's a bunch of different things here. I had like an issue with a fatal error that I couldn't quite figure out, and it was able to explain this. Let me move myself over here out of the way. So this particular instance, I wanted to input a custom snippet or custom piece of content after a certain amount of words on the site. And I'm sure there's a plugin that could do that, but I was just like, you know what? I don't want a plugin. I want a custom function that will insert something after, the first 100 words. And in this case, it was an email sign up on like a travel blog. So I said, I said exactly what I just described. Use JavaScript to insert a short code after 100 words. And it actually didn't really use JavaScript, but that's okay. And then I was able to tell it the short code, which I wanted, which was going to end up being a gravity form for the sign up. So then, what did this didn't work for some reason, and I forget, maybe it gave me an error or something like that. So I just said, is it possible to use JavaScript and the content instead? Because I knew that it needed to input that after 100 words of the content. And I think the mistake here was that after the first 100 words of the site, so it counted, like menu links and all that kind of stuff. And then it spit this out, and by golly, it worked. You can see that was the end of the conversation. So it was able to, kind of find the post content, first 100 words, and then pop in the short code, and bam, it just worked. So it's like things like that you have a practical use case for. You have a pretty good idea of how to achieve what you're after, but maybe you don't have, the exact code knowledge. For me, JavaScript is, no way. So this was just a super, super awesome. Let's see, Mac GPT. Don't forget Midjourney. Have you looked into that yet? A little bit. I've done a little bit of the image stuff, but I was pretty disappointed. I mean, I don't really have any use case for like the futuristic looking art style, so it just didn't really help me. I was actually looking for a tool that would help me generate YouTube thumbnails, but I didn't really find anything like that. So if you find one of those, let me know. Let's see. Harpa AI Chrome extension. Absolutely butchered that. ChatGPT Web Automation Assistant. Summarize, rewrite, extract, and monitor pages, prices, and data. Display ChatGPT answers. Summarize web pages. Oh, that's cool. Generate content, post tweets, and email responses. Site monitoring. That's pretty neat. Is it free? I might check this out off stream. That seems pretty neat. Harpa AI. What is their software? Price drops. Oh, okay. So you can kind of hit ChatGPT prompts right in real time. That's pretty cool. I definitely will look at that. That's pretty neat. So the websites to API is interesting. Yeah, that does seem pretty cool. So the last thing I'm going to touch on was the Cloudways price increase. And this goes back to what I was talking about with the, moving away from gravity forms. It's almost like I have so many sites and so much time and money invested in it that it's difficult to move away from it. But this is the first time that I've seriously considered moving away from Cloudways. And I've been a customer for, I think like 5 years now. I think I signed up with them in 2018 and I've been really happy with it. Although I've been extremely disappointed in the Elastic email API integration. It's just gotten worse and worse, more troublesome over the years. I'm always fighting it, which is actually why I had to have this snippet. Where did it go? The email change from snippet. This is a result of the way that Elastic email and Cloudways forces you to have verified URL, which I get. It makes sense, but it's just so frustrating. It's really, really troublesome, and I just constantly have problems with it. But then this price increase, it was like, what was it, 20% or 40% or something ridiculous like that for Vultr, and all of my servers are on Vultr. So it was just kind of like, it's pretty disappointing. I mean, I guess I get it because they got bought out by DigitalOcean, but it was just like, well, DigitalOcean got 7% and Vultr got 20 or whatever. So it's just like, man, I don't know where I would go. That's the problem. But I was just curious, where are you hosting, and are you happy with it? Were you on Cloudways? Did you move away? I feel like the DigitalOcean acquisition had everybody be like kind of for the first time be like, wait a second, maybe this isn't all it's cracked up to be. But this is a big thing because, I have 60 plus client sites on my servers, and I have multiple of my own projects, and it would just be such a monumental hassle to move everything. And really, it's not even like the migrations that's so difficult. It's the changing the DNS. Like, there's just clients who have wacky DNS that are troublesome to get into. They take forever to update when you make those DNS changes. And so I was just curious what you guys feel about this. Grid pane. Yeah, Daniel, that's exactly what I would consider. I think it helps that Patrick's so visible in the community that, grid pane stays top of mind as a result of that. And because I use Vultr, I would hope that the transition would be relatively seamless, although I assume I'd have to move to a different instance of the server, which again would change the IP. So yeah, I don't know. It's a weird time right now because I assume that the changes are going to keep, changing on Cloudways. So it's a little bit concerning, to be honest. I'm not quite sure what to make of it just yet. How does transactional email work on grid pane? Do you have to have another like third-party service? Vultr high frequency, the increase was that high. Yeah, it was like 20%. Let's see. Vultr. So like standard 4 gig was 44, now it's 54. So that's $10 for one server. Most of my servers are the Vultr 2 gig for client stuff. So it went from 23 to 28. I think I have like 4 or 5 of those. So just, in one swoop, my bill went up like $60 or $80 or something. I think my bill is like almost $300 a month now, which is not that, I mean, it's a lot, but it's not that crazy. It's just percentage wise, it's huge. And I just don't think that's going to be the last of it. I think there's going to be more price increase or feature reduction or something. So I'm not super stoked on that. Postmark app or SendGrid. Oh, okay. I mean, if it was more simple and I didn't have to fight with DNS all the time, I guess that's a question is, does every individual domain have to be authenticated? Because, you got to create elastic email records for each of the domains and you got to verify it and do all that kind of stuff. Maybe that's just how it works. Maybe that's just the way it is. But like I built like text expander stuff so it can be like elastic and you can have like my common DNS records. On GridPane, you can set up Postmark or any other sending service on a site-by-site basis, or you can set up SendGrid for the entire server. Okay. So then, like, for instance, in that case with SendGrid, if you add a new domain and you want to send from that, do you have to go authenticate all the DNS records on that particular domain, or does it just work because it's on the server? Because that's how it used to be on Cloudways with Elastic, and I never had problems. For years and years, I never had problems. And then they switched it to requiring DNS records per domain. What did you use for text expander? So for Elastic, you have to have, let me see if I can put this somewhere easier to read. For Elastic email, you have to have 3 different DNS records. So I created some Elastic email or some text expander, whatever you call them, expansions, I guess. So it's -- elastic 1, 2, and 3. Oh, actually, I guess it doesn't work in CodeBox. Elastic 1, where can I? Oh, I can do it in the Gutenberg editor. If I go after here, so let me add a couple of lines. So it's -- elastic 1, and then -- elastic 2, and so on. So that just makes it really easy because I use these all the time. So it just makes sense to have these as text expander entries. And these are just the public ones. So it's not like there's nothing secure about these. You just have to have them. Let's see. DNS per domain is always more secure. Yeah, totally. You still have to authenticate each site with SendGrid. Okay, I mean, I guess that's just the way it is. Not that big of a deal. I literally just switched from Media Temple after 18 years to Cloudways. DNS was by far a pain. Yeah, absolutely. Dave, good question. Anybody tried Advanced Scripts? How does it compare? Advanced Scripts was my go-to for a long time. And I actually resisted switching to WP CodeBox for some time because I was happy with Advanced Scripts, but the development slowed to just a flat stall. There's just like been nothing new in it for a long time. The developer had talked about switching to like a custom licensing solution and getting away from Freemius for forever. And I still don't think it's happened. I think he's said it's coming for a year and a half, maybe even more. And for me, it was just like, well, there's clearly no development here. WP Codebox is got a lot of attention. So I made the jump and I've been happy. And it's a bummer because I think Advanced Scripts had the lead. But I guess that's kind of how it goes. It's like, you know, somebody comes up with the idea first. They're a little bit ahead of the curve and then they drop the bag. I mean, I'm guilty of that too. So I know how it goes. How do I feel about FSC full site editing with Gutenberg? I haven't done anything with full site editing because I don't think it's really viable quite yet. I think it's probably getting closer and closer, but for me right now, GeneratePress is powerful enough. The Elements feature in GeneratePress is flippin' amazing. You can do pretty much anything in terms of, you know, custom templates and hooks and all that kind of stuff. That, you know, that's for me enough right now. GeneratePress and GenerateBlocks is where it's at. And you know, I really do feel that most people overcomplicate their sites by using bricks and Oxygen. The vast majority of us are building small business sites. You don't need those tools. So this is really the best suite of tools for me at the moment. But again, this is all personal preference. I mean, people get so bent out of shape about the argument, oh, what's the best builder? It's like, it doesn't matter. Whatever the best tool is for you, that's what matters. And for me, GeneratePress and GenerateBlocks are the best options. If bricks is that for you and you like fumbling with classes all the time, sure. That's great. And we're going to talk about that next week with Dave. We're going to talk about Bricks Builder and all that. He said that he believes Bricks is the holy grail of web design right now, and we're going to go through it. I'm open-minded. I came from Oxygen, you know? So anyway, there's a bit of a soapbox, a bit of a rant there. But, you know, again, comes down to personal preference. Zeptomail might be similar to Elastic with the one record, it seems. Well, yeah, I mean, that's not like a deal breaker necessarily, because I agree with you that the security is definitely a big component of it that needs to be there. But it's just something that I had thought about that was kind of a pain in the arse. But yeah, so I would be curious, back to this topic, we got a little bit off track there. I touched on Text Expander and then full site editing. Who are you guys hosting with? Got a couple people on GridPane. Who else? What else? What other hosts are out there that you guys are using and happy with? Because like I said, I've been with Cloudways for like 5 years, but it's the day may come that I switch, and I'll of course let you know where and why. RunCloud. Okay, I've heard a couple of people on RunCloud. Taylor, RunCloud, Vulture, and Control Panel on RunCloud. Okay, so RunCloud is more like a management interface, and you still get your own server somewhere else. Is that how it works? Server avatar self-hosted. Yeah, for me, I don't want to bother with self-hosted. I want somebody else to be responsible for security updates and maintaining the server and all that kind of stuff. I'll pay a little bit extra. That's why I was always so happy with Cloudways. It's like, well, yeah, I know it's double the cost of going straight to Vulture, but I don't have to fiddle with anything. CyberPanel also self-hosted. Yeah, that's okay. That's cool. That works for sure. Man, we are an hour and 47 minutes into the stream. That's awesome. Just another reminder, if you haven't liked the stream, please do so. And also, if you're not subscribed, you don't want to miss next week's session. We're going to be talking about Bricks Builder and classes and all that kind of stuff. Going to be a great discussion. Will Alonso win a race this year? Oh my gosh, I certainly hope so. The race last week I thought was fantastic, but only because of Alonso. The fact that Max and the Red Bulls ran away like they did was absolutely insane. So I'm not going to any races this year that I know of, not Miami. I went to the US one last year. I think the next one on my radar, next F1 race I want to go to is Japan. I really, really want to go to Japan. I think it would just be fantastic. The energy there is amazing, and I love the idea of high-speed trains, so going to ride the bullet train would just be so cool. And I get to see Luke. I don't know where he is. He's probably sleeping right now, but get to see Luke in Tokyo. That would be pretty amazing. You got to go back and watch the previous part of the stream, Taylor. I already answered that. Since you were gone. And you missed the WP Codebox part, so you missed the opportunity to ask questions, dude. Anything else? Before we wrap up the stream, any other questions, thoughts, comments, concerns? Pretty happy with how everything went today. We covered a lot, which is exactly what I wanted to do. The gravity form styling, TranslatePress, motion page, WP Codebox, talked about ChatGPT a little bit, and then hosting solutions. Oh, you went to get Starbucks. Okay, all right. I'll forgive you. this once. I want to shout out Heinrich. Thanks so much for re-upping your membership. And actually Taylor too. Taylor and Heinrich both in the stream re-upped the memberships. Like I said, there's going to be some changes coming to the community and memberships here on YouTube and try to make them more worthwhile than just some emojis here in chat. Maybe some exclusive content. I thought about last night doing some like behind the scenes type videos and maybe some more like raw kind of like, well, I don't know what the word is, like some live streams or, you know, just making content that might not make a regular video. And also doing some other stuff, you know, kind of like out and about. So we'll see. I have some ideas. Not really anything decided yet. Have I been to Montreal? Yes, I've been to Montreal actually 2 years. I went 2016 and 2019, and it was fantastic. I love the city and the track was amazing. So I would highly recommend if you haven't been to Montreal just in general, and if you're an F1 fan, go to Montreal as well. I think that's about all from me. This is a great stopping point. I hope everybody enjoyed the stream today. I certainly did, and it's been fun as always. I'm really enjoying these streams. We're now at a month consecutively. This is the 4th one, and I think they've been going great. I've been really stoked on them, so hopefully you guys are as well. Let me know if there's other topics you want to see in the future. We have next week lined up, like I said a couple of times, but after that, it's open, so let me know. Open to suggestions. As always, thank you so much for watching, everybody, and I will see you next week at the same time. Have a great weekend.